A follower of mine sent this to me. I'll turn myself down a little bit. The other day on my Patreon, and they were like, I forget exactly what they said, but they're like, "Oh, TomDark's growing." I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means, but you know, I like that person. I've talked to them actually before. They're pretty cool. So they're like, "Can you watch it?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." And that's what we're doing now. We're gonna watch a TomDark video. And don't worry, guys. One day, I will become popular enough for you guys to just watch my content and make money off of it. And so you'll be able to get your returns, because this 2023, baby, that's the year. We're manifesting it. I'm putting out the energy into the world that I will be very successful on this new regrowth and this new rebuild, because I'm a woman and I believe in astrology.
Big schnauzer.
Nice. Oh yeah, it's called Watch This If You're a Doomer. I don't know what a doomer is, by the way. What is a doomer? What is a doomer? Turkey Thomish. Exactly. Doomer terms primarily on the internet to describe people who are extremely pessimistic. Oh, that's it? All right.
What the fuck is this? Dude, fuck you, man. You're not hired, man. This is bullshit.
Are you cursing?
Why is it a nose? Dude, why is it just a standalone nose, dude? No, this is dumb. This is dumb.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the TomDark channel. I am your host, TomDark, and today I am coming at you with another classic TomDark upload. This video is not a stream clip. It is not a stream highlight in any way like I've been doing recently. This is just going to be a very standard video of me talking about whatever is on my mind, really. And this week's topic is being terminally online. Now, it's something I've more generally talked.
All right, being terminally online, dude, is not good. Let's do the economy. It's not good. That's pretty much it, man. I feel like, listen, man, I always say this, but the biggest issue with, it's very easy to become terminally online if you don't have somebody to ground you in your like real life. That's when it becomes the most difficult time. And I've been there. I have my wife. I know I talk about it all the time. Shut up. Leave me alone. But it helps to have somebody that like isn't online to be able to keep you grounded. It really is.
Talked about on this channel before and given my input on, but what do I mean when I say terminally online? Well, really, I'm referring to the demographic of people who would probably self-identify as NEETs, people who are not in education, employment, or training. On 4chan, this really refers to people who basically sit around all day, okay, at home. They're not doing anything productive, and they basically just like watch anime and YouTube all day and jerk off and do nothing. They're not productive in any way. They basically—
All right, well, I just meant that you were too obsessed with Twitter, but I've never, I mean, I guess I just jerk off a lot. But not really an anime fan, you know?
don't leave their bed. Maybe sometimes they'll get up to go to the bathroom or to take the absolute fattest bong rip ever, dude, but apart from that, they're not really going anywhere. That's pretty much it. They sit around and engage in endless entertainment and pleasure and not much else. And they sort of
and they just scream at each other on Twitter, shit like that. Yeah.
Defend this choice and encourage others to live this kind of lifestyle as well. They're trying to pull other people into their sort of pit. It's like the analogy of the crabs trying to climb out of the bucket, right? And when one crab gets to the top and, you know, almost gets out, they grab them. They're like, hey, don't you remember that, like, you know, being a loser is fun? And they pull them all the way back down, and they just try to bring other people into this kind of pit of misery that they're in. And this is a common thing if you're, you know, a young person, especially. I think you'll probably meet a lot of these people if you're at college or something, or if you're in high school, you'll see these people around, and they're just kind of a prevalent thing, especially today when, you know, people have such easy access to entertainment. They have easy access to TV, to video games, Netflix, HBO Max, whatever else. There's no shortage of distractions to get caught up in, and basically, like, it's not the most infeasible thing ever to think that there's a bunch of people who hole themselves up in their rooms and just do nothing all day, right? Because it's easy. And really, you know, in my own experience, easily the most miserable people that I know right now, people I've known in the past, whether it be my friends or from acquaintances or people I've heard about, you know, through others that I know, easily the absolute most miserable people that I know are people who spend all of their time inside their room on their computer.
It's true, man. And I feel like there's so many people who spend so much time on Twitter, but they're like addicted to it, or like in online spaces, but they're addicted to it. And so they think that those are good things that provide good outcomes that make them feel better about themselves. And if they give it up, it like distresses them mentally, because of course, like when you're used to just going on and constantly, you know, perusing online content, you think that you need it. But I'll tell you, man, like it was weird not being able to pick up and like look at Twitter and shit, you know, every 5 seconds. But once you get off and you stop getting addicted to like reading all the hate comments and all the this and all the that and all the this, it becomes a very freeing experience. That's what I'll tell you. And it's worth it to get out of that. The same thing happened when I got banned on TikTok. Like I was terminally online on TikTok at that point.
Sounds ironic coming from someone who who spends a lot of time on his computer, okay? But just bear with me, okay? There's a greater point here. These are people who they spend all their time alone inside their room on their computer, on their phone, on their freaking iPad or whatever, and they're not trying to accomplish anything with themselves. They're not trying to strive for something. They're really just trying to distract themselves from the problems of the world and the problems at hand. Just the other day, I met this kid.
A lot of them seem to be underachievers too. Like a lot of, I think, is like some smart young people that just like, again, they're so fucking terribly online. But there's like a lot of young people who are like underachievers and kind of, I think part of it's because they skated through life and never had to earn anything. And so like now they don't want to put any effort into doing anything. You don't really build character that way.
Kid who I hadn't ever been around before, and I was talking to him. I was like, oh, well, what do you do? Like, what are your aspirations? Like, do you have anything you like? Just trying to sort of get an understanding of the kind of person he is. And he was like, yeah, you know, I don't know. I just don't do much. I just like sit around and do nothing. And this is a kid who, he doesn't have a job. He hasn't been in classes for like 6-7 months. And he was a kid from a nice family who clearly had money because, you know, he lived in an apartment building that his dad owned for free. And he got to just sit around and do nothing as a result of it because no one in his life was pushing him to do anything.
Exactly. Yeah, man. That's what I was saying. Like the underachievers, people who don't really have to work. Like that's part of me, man. I feel like I was an underachiever. Probably still am a little bit because I was always very good in school. I never really had to work hard. And so like, you know, thankfully I was in the Boy Scouts so that I could learn, like I'm an Eagle Scout, so I could learn that work ethic from that capacity. And thank God my mom forced me to, you know, do things like, I worked when I was younger, I worked at my uncle's deli, you know, for a long period of time and shit like that. But without that, you know, shit can go bad very quickly.
His parents weren't, he wasn't, he didn't have any motivation for seemingly any kind of progress. He was totally fine with just like living in the top floor of this apartment building that his dad owned for the rest of his life and like withering away. And you know, I don't hate the dude, but it was just sort of sad to see this guy who seemingly was reasonably intelligent. And you know, okay, I'm not trying to be gay here, okay, but he was reasonably like attractive, okay, he was
gay.
He was just like obviously miserable and not content with his current situation. And unfortunately, a difficult truth that I think he has to confront, and a lot of people have to confront in a situation like that, is that to be happy, you do have to try and pull yourself out of it constantly. Not just once, not just like, you know, once every few weeks, but you got to be constantly working towards something to get there. And you know, happiness and being content is really like a muscle you need to exercise, just like the real muscles on your body. You know, the more you try and the more you exercise your muscles, the bigger you'll get and the easier it will get over time. It'll just be like a habit. But, you know, to get started, that probably is the hardest part. Just like, you know, getting started working out is the hardest part. Being content and being happy with your life in general is a constant battle you have to go through. And that's unfortunately the truth of the matter that I think a lot of people are sort of having a hard time accepting these days. There's this other guy that I know, and he may even be watching this video right now because he has a YouTube channel of his own. And I won't name him for the sake of his own privacy, but his current situation is sort of a sad state of affairs. And I've tried to give him a bunch of advice along the way, which he unfortunately has yet to take in any way. His life situation and the time.
It's all RFC, guys. I know it. I'm calling it. Boom! Slam dunk, baby.
That I've known him has basically been exactly the same. But allow me to set the stage on what kind of person this is, what kind of situation he's in, and basically how I view him. He's basically my age, like around 20 years old. He lives at home. He has no job other than YouTube, which would be fine, but it's not currently making him very much money, like at all. There was.
Well, I swear to God, I have to be right. I'm pretty sure it's young Augustus. Ragefire Chasm, bro. I'm pretty sure that's who it is.
Time when he was making a considerable income, at least for someone, you know, his age, like, you know, 19, 20, or around that age, enough to live off of. But that time has passed because a sort of trend that he rode died down, and now he's stuck not making very much money, and he doesn't have a job or degree of any kind, and he has no experience in anything else. So this is the position he's sort of just stuck in for now. He's stuck being this, like, kind of irrelevant YouTuber who isn't trying very hard, who doesn't have a trend to ride right.
Yeah, I feel that, man. Listen, I don't know if it is, Augie. I mean, I feel like it probably is, but it doesn't really matter. But generally speaking, man, how the fuck is this idiot dying? Oh my God, we just got in the dungeon and you're already cucking me right now. Anyway, I don't know if it actually is him. It might be. But I have noticed that there are a lot of YouTubers. And first of all, it's December, so it's hard to do any growth or get any decent numbers. And people get very obsessed with the numbers. But there's like a lot of people who don't really stream if they don't feel like there's a lot to talk about. And they'll just kind of like wait for drama or something to go on. And I get that. But for me, like that's a big reason why I stepped away from this, because it gets so stressful just constantly covering drama. Like, I don't want to just cover that. And I feel like, you know, I know that I'm a fucking React Andy and whatever. People make fun of me for it. And I just don't really care because I'm enjoying it. I'm doing well. But, like, you know, there's always conversations about that. Like, you don't always have to... People are so view-focused that they'll be like, oh, did I get a lot of... Oh, I need to make sure my stream has this many views. Who cares? You know what I mean? Like, I understand you need to get views, but, you know, sometimes you're just not going to have the content that you're looking to have to be able to get the views that you want. And just sometimes you just have to be okay with it. And you have to focus on, you know... Like what it's like, oh, hey guys, I haven't streamed in however many months, but I got 1,000 viewers today. And it's like, well, is that as good as streaming every day and only getting 200 viewers? Like, you know, getting more consistent viewership. I mean, like, at what point do you worry less about being viral and more about being consistent. You know what I mean? Like I personally think that the 200 people who will continuously watch you 7 days a week instead of the 1,000 people who might watch you once a month, that's more valuable to build them and keep them loyal. You know, I do pretty well even with this content reshift. With fewer viewers, but like overall consistency. People like me. I think that's awesome. I really appreciate that. When a video doesn't do tremendously well view-wise, I don't really shit and come. I'm just like, okay, because there are still people. Those are always the best like reviewed videos. People are like, I really enjoyed this video, Papa God. I thought this was pretty poggers. So the youngins will say, I'm hip, I'm cool. I feel like there's a toxic focus, and it's far too much on like views when it should be more on like happiness, consistency, and shit like that. So to anybody who's like making content and they feel like, oh, I'm not hitting, I'm not this. First of all, it's December. It's not exactly the growth month. Views are down. I think that there's more bigger creators posting more stuff. Even though there's more ad revenue to go around because it's Christmas, there's bigger creators posting a lot more stuff. There's fewer views to go around. Usually the YouTube team takes a longer time to monetize shit. But, you know, maybe try to do that. And just try not to do too much at once, too. I feel like some people do that. They try to do a little too much at once, and they end up burning out. You know, just try to stay consistent and, like, you know, enjoy your shit and do your thing, you know?
Right now. And unfortunately, that means that for him to succeed, he's going to have to really dig deep and start making better content and start building a fan base and start building that kind of audience, building his brand, which is something that he hasn't had to do until that point because he had a little trend he could ride that got him a substantial amount of money for like 5-6 months. And now that that's gone, he doesn't know what to do. The good news is that he doesn't have a lot of...
Yeah, Ethan needs to do more bad stuff, guys, so we can ride his dick. No, I don't know what the fuck the trend is. But yeah, man.
Things he needs to pay for because his parents very generously allow him to live at home rent-free. They don't pressure him to change anything in his life. And that's cool.
Really?
You know, that's very nice of them. And
I don't know if that's cool. My mother, when I decided to drop out of high school, my mother made me get a job and start paying for shit. I actually made me think it was college, but made me, because I had, and like I feel like that was like probably one of the best things that you could ever do. Like force your kid to start like, you know, work and do shit. Get their shit together. It's a motivator, you know, to try to like get you to do stuff. Sometimes it can be enabling to kind of let your like somebody in your life do whatever they want rather than do what they need to do. That could be a big problem.
And generous of them, but that's sort of where his problems also come in. He doesn't need to pay rent. He doesn't need to pay for food. He doesn't need to pay for his internet, his utilities.
Yeah.
The basic conditions of survival have all been met by someone else, an external factor. And as a result, he's not striving to do better and succeed. He isn't striving to grow his skill set. He isn't building anything right now. He's not really working on his YouTube channel like nearly as much as he should. I don't think he's even working on it like 3-4 days a week. He isn't striving to grow his bank account to get to that next level of wealth. And because he doesn't have to immediately pay for anything, he basically just decides to lay in bed and be depressed and like watch degenerate shit on X videos or something along those lines. I don't really know. He doesn't really have any
yeah, listen, don't get a VR headset and start looking at VR porn, guys. It's really bad for you. It's listen, bro, technology's crazy. That's all I gotta say.
Hobbies or passions. He doesn't go outside much, and you know, why would he? He has no reason to. His parents take care of everything. He has no reason to try and strive.
Hey, you might as well play World of Warcraft at that point. Am I right, fellas?
To be better right now. And he seems to have some serious like deep-seated issues regarding this in particular. I think he's depressed. I don't think it's like a serotonin imbalance. I think it's clearly, to me, his lifestyle that made him depressed. And I've repeatedly tried to sort of talk him out of it, but clearly my words seem ineffective no matter what. They don't seem like quite enough to get him off his ass out of bed to do what he needs to do. I've tried to describe to him that like this YouTube thing, to make it work, you sort of have a limited window of time that you're not going to have forever, you know? It's important to be aware of the passage of time when you're a YouTuber because ultimately people like young people, and the people who are currently watching YouTube the most are young. And so if you want to succeed, you need to be somewhat relatable to them.
Yeah, I don't think that that's necessarily true. I think that maybe I'm just biased. I'm a fat old fucking piece of dog shit garbage that, you know, but I don't know if that's necessarily true. I think that there's a lot more older people on. I think that YouTube has replaced a lot of TV shows for people. Dude, the damage is fucking miserable. This is horrible. Holy fuck. Anyway, I think that there's a lot more older people, so you have a window, but, you know, I mean, it's one of those things where obviously, you know, you have to. It depends on what kind of content you're making. Obviously, if you're making edgier like content, obviously you're not gonna appeal to older people in any real capacity. But yeah, sure.
You need to sort of be in the zeitgeist. You need to have your brain in the game as far as like what's going on in the news. And you know, that time might not last forever. Maybe 2 years, and maybe 5 years, and maybe 10 years, but you just don't know. Like, you're young right now. You have a lot of time. You need to really act on that. And
either way, I mean, you should probably get a backup just in case something happens. You know, I'm always ready to go back to work. That's my like biggest philosophy. Like, honestly, my biggest philosophy is if this doesn't really provide for my family at a certain point, then I will go back to work. And I can be honestly, I could go back and be a bus driver, make like $30 an hour, part time, relatively quickly. and then continue to do YouTube if I really needed to, and I would be perfectly fine. So, but you know, right now I'm fortunate enough I don't have to.
He seems to know that, but still does nothing with his time all day. And the longer that you wait to really kick off your YouTube channel again after this trend died, the longer it's going to take for you to get back on the pony and actually get into the swing of making content, get back on the wagon, and once again be able to earn that Google AdSense, that YouTube dollar. But he's just in this super sad, self-defeating cycle where he doesn't have to make it work, so he won't do it. And as a result, I think that's making him complicit with this shitty situation, which he doesn't even like that much, but it's just enough that he doesn't have to like try to improve really. And this is the thing that I think I'm slowly realizing about, you know, I have a lot of friends who are in similar situations, and I'll try to give them advice or something, or they'll ask me like, how do you have such a good content schedule? Like, I work pretty normal hours. Like, I wake up at like 8, I'm working by 9, I go to bed by like midnight. Like, I work a relatively normal work schedule, and a lot of the people that I know are really depressed have really shitty sleep schedules, and they're like, well, how do you do it? And I think
true. I've been like really trying to get up early lately, like even if it's at the expense of me barely sleeping, because it's actually just much less depressing. Getting up at like fucking 12 in the afternoon is just depressing. I used to do that because I used to work really late. I used to work at like 2 to 10s, well 1:30 to 10s, at least at my primary job. And so like I'm almost used to it, but it's so miserable. It's so bizarre. It's not, I don't know. It just doesn't work out. When I wake up early, I have the same amount of time in the day, but I just feel like I have more time. I like it so much more.
that the reason why I do it is because, first of all, I enjoy it. I do enjoy my job a lot. I'm happy to wake up at a certain time, but also I feel like I have to. I feel like it's my responsibility. I feel like it's my duty. And this is the thing I'm sort of realizing. I think that unless you have that push, I don't think that a lot of people are actually going to pull themselves out of their miserable sort.
For sure, man. I feel like too, part of it is that when you don't have stability, like being a content creator, you can make your own hours. I can stream whenever I want, do whatever I want, blah, 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 blah. And so I think without that structure, that's the word that I wanted to use. Without that structure, I think it gets very easy to, like, without structure or regulation, it gets easy to just like do whatever you want. You know what I mean? Like if back in the day, if I wanted to play a game a little too late, I still got to get up for work the next day. So if I only get 4 hours of sleep, I only get 4 hours of sleep. And then I get that very quick feedback loop of like, yeah, you done goofed, motherfucker. Whereas now, if I do that, I could just not, it doesn't really matter too much. I could just kind of sleep whenever. None of that really matters. What the fuck's happening? Holy fuck. It doesn't necessarily matter nearly as much. So it's a whole different thing.
Sort of content situation, right? It's nearly impossible to just talk someone out of a negative habit like this, or at least it's very, very difficult. I think in most cases, I've seen where you see a success story where someone goes from nothing, like having no money, no prospects, to being successful and having a lot of prospects, a lot of opportunities, a lot of connections. It's actually when they're pushed into a dire situation that they have to make it work, and then they go above and beyond expectations and succeed. So it's not people who succeed when they start being in need, when they start like living in their, you know, parents' house or whatever, but people who are pushed into a corner and have to make it work tend to succeed way more than people who have it kind of on easy mode. And I'll give you an example of a situation like that, which would actually be me. About 1 year ago now, which is super crazy to think about the passage of time this way because a lot has happened in the last year, but you know, about a year ago, I dropped out of college. And in the months leading up to that decision, I was pretty fucking miserable. Honestly, I really was. I was not having a good time. And I was trying my best to upkeep with school at the same time as YouTube, but the whole college thing was really killing me. It felt like a super worthless endeavor in terms of the money I had to pay for it. Not to mention the time I was spending on it was time I wanted to spend on literally anything else. In particular, YouTube videos, because I felt like they were a lot more productive and successful than college. I was going to college for like tens of thousands of dollars a year to watch YouTube tutorials in class for shit that I learned when I was 13, 14 years old from watching those same YouTube tutorials. Like, it was going to class, going to a school that you pay $30,000, $40,000 a year with all the people around me, and they didn't seem disturbed by the fact that when you go to class, you watch fucking YouTube tutorials of shit that's so easy to learn, like Photoshop basics, or like how to
Yeah, true, man. I went to school for game and web design. I learned a lot of that stuff. I didn't know about it already, though, so it was actually very helpful for me. I don't know, the class structure helped. That's like when I went to like a game and web design thing. You know, that was like the trade school that I went to. Unfortunately, kind of like bombed out, but it has helped. You know, you know, it made it easier for me to learn how to use like the editing software that I use for myself. Made it a lot easier to adjust to that when I started doing my own editing. So.
ask something in Premiere Pro. This is super easy stuff.
Even like I don't do like my thumbnails aren't crazy in any capacity, but like I can do enough to make like a good enough thumbnail for my content too. Like I'm able to be like pretty self-sufficient and do whatever I really need to be able to do for my content. So this shaman's damage is fucking terrible. Holy fuck, dude.
Did not need to go to school for, okay? It was basically just paying to be in that room. And so it got to the point where, like, basically any other scenario other than college I would have been more comfortable with rather than the current one. And really my ideal scenario was doing YouTube full time. And I was making enough to live off of it at that point, but I didn't have crazy savings, and it still would have been a pretty decent gamble if I dropped out at that point. So I was sort of forced into this position where I could continue to be in college and not have adequate time for either thing that I was doing, right? Not have adequate time to focus on classes because of YouTube, and because I had classes, I didn't have the amount of time I wanted to spend on YouTube videos available to me. It was sort of a self-defeating cycle where, okay, well, I don't really really care about college, but I'm in it, I'm paying for it, I may as well try, but I don't have the time to try because I want to pursue this YouTube thing, which is the exit to college. And I just wasn't happy, and I was sort of getting to this make or break decision, and I could feel it building in my mind, mentally, and physically in my life. I could see sort of things moving into place in such a way that I was like, I really have to figure out which one I want to do. I have to pick one. I have to pick college and get like a normal part-time job, or I have to pick YouTube. I had classes every day, and I had homework every day, which was like, you know, 5-6 hours, maybe 7 hours a day. And then I also had YouTube stuff I wanted to do, which was, you know, a ton of other hours on top of that. So there really just was not enough time in the day to get all the stuff I wanted to do done. And I really had to pick one. It got to the point where I was pulling multiple all-nighters every week. You know, I felt like I was going crazy, and I was releasing.
Hey, man, I'll fuck you up. I can't even do that shit anymore, dude. The other day, I went and I met it was actually 2 days ago. I think I only slept 4 hours, and I went to meet another YouTuber in the city. It was pretty cool. I met Dantavius. That was pretty cool. I gotta get Curly to come out here, or meet Curly soon. But when I got home, fell asleep. I couldn't do it. I'm fucking old, dude. I got old. I fell asleep. I fucking barely made it, dude. I'm so goddamn old now. It's fucking hard. It's horrible. It's hard to keep up, man. You know?
As many videos as I could, as fast as I could. I was posting on this channel, TomDark, every single day, pretty much. And on my main channel, I was trying to upload 3 or 4 times a month. You know, to be honest, I was doing a lot of Adderall at this time, and it probably was a problem.
Jesus
I wouldn't
Christ.
recommend that to anyone in hindsight, because that stuff was really bad for my health. It fucked me up, okay? I needed to make it work. I needed to get to the point where my monthly income from YouTube was an amount that would impress me, first of all, and that amount was a number that was sort of informed by my parents' income, because my parents, for context, are both college-educated professionals who work at, I would say, you know, pretty high levels in their fields. They get paid pretty well, and I needed to see the number on paper in my bank account, okay, on Google AdSense, in my bank statement. I needed to see that sort of match something close to what they made. And it took a while to get there, but in October and in November and in December of 2021, that finally happened. And it felt like I did it, right? It felt like I got to
I can respect that. I felt like kind of the same way. My mom did pretty well for herself. She worked at White Castle, but she did pretty well. She ended up like becoming she basically like ran half of Long Island White Castle, so she worked up there. And there's always a feeling of inadequacy not making it to my mother's salary. You know, she's, you know, obviously that was her peak salary, but there was a point where I was actually at it, because she made a good amount of money at a certain point. We're not there anymore, only because of the content shift. But listen, it's manifestation. We're gonna get there back there, bro. We're gonna get back. We're gonna get viral. We're just manifesting it into the universe. But I'm still doing like very well. Like I shouldn't like shit on myself. Like my wife and I together do very well. So you know, hey, that's life, brother. That's life. But I understand that expectation.
a good point, and I made enough to where it was feasible to drop out, I would say, where I had a bunch of money in savings so that if things didn't work out with YouTube, I would have time to figure something else out or go back to school or something, and I had a little bit of cushion sort of in the savings account, right, financially, and it felt good, and so I dropped out, right? I remember the sort of experience driving home from college. I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to do, but I knew that I was making a bunch of money, and I knew that I wasn't enjoying college. I wasn't happy. It was really mentally, it was taking its toll on me, and I was like, all right, well, I'm going to go home, and I think I'm just going to tell my parents that I want to drop out. So I went home, and I remember the day that I went home, it was like going home for a Christmas break, and it was like early December, late November or something, because we had a long Christmas break last school year. And I drove home, and it was like my grandmother's 88th birthday or 85th birthday party, and I went there, and my whole family was there, you know, extended family, cousins, aunts, and stuff, and they all, you know, they saw me. I hadn't seen them in a while. You know, how's school going? How's school? Because, you know, when you're in college or when you're in high school, I mean, that's what everyone asks you, right? You go to these family functions. How's college? How are classes? How are things going? So that's what I told them. I was like, you know, it's going good. Everything's going good. There's no problems. I'm really enjoying, you know, college. And as soon as I got home, like we walked in the door, me and my parents, and I was like, I'm dropping out. I'm done. I can't fucking do this anymore. And it was a very hard conversation. I'm not going to act like.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, you can't really tell your family you're just gonna be a fucker. Even now, people don't understand what the fuck I do. Like they don't get anything. They don't quite understand it. I don't even know how to explain it to people. What do you say? You know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, I talk. My wife is better at explaining it than I am. Oh, these people are so fucking bad. She's like, yeah, basically he talks and people listen, and they, you know, he'll watch videos and stuff. I was like, yeah, that's pretty much all I do. Nothing too crazy, I guess, when you think about it like that. But that's all it really is. It's just how bad this fucking DPS is. It's fucking abysmal.
It was pleasant. They were pretty displeased with my decision for a while, but it was.
I remember when I talked to my mother about how I was going to quit, because I know I was an adult, but it's like, you know, you're telling me I'm going to quit my job to do streaming full time, and she's like, we're going to what? You know, what a risk. But I am happy I made a risk. It was calculated and worked out.
Just something I had to do for myself, and I think on paper they understood that the money I made at least was an indicator that things were going in the right direction, and that's really an indicator to adults. If you ever want to show them they're succeeding at anything, you know, you show them your stupid like noise rock or whatever, they're gonna be like, that's so dumb. Like, why would you ever spend your time on this? You could be doing literally anything else. But if it makes you money, then obviously that's a signifier that you're functioning as a normal part of society, and you get to do this cool thing. And you know, during that period of my life, I definitely lost some things. I definitely was cost of some things. Like my own personal mental health was not the most amazing during that time, and that sucks. And I wouldn't recommend, you know, destroying your psyche to anyone. But at the end of the day, I don't regret what I did during that time because it did work. I did it. I made enough to where it was feasible to drop out. You know, I kicked the Adderall problem. And then a few months later, I moved out of my parents' house and things have been pretty swell ever since, honestly.
Bro, I just accidentally pulled something. I think my group pulled something. I must have pulled something, and I just fucking, when you can't use the air bridge, so I died.
My life has not been better that I can remember. And I think if I had never gone to college or never gotten a job and my parents had just let me live at home and not pay rent and not do anything and never strive to be anything and not be forced to do anything I didn't like, I probably would be in the same position as my friend is right now. Because as much as I wanted to do YouTube, as much as I wanted it to work out for all of my high school years, it never felt like something I had to do. It never felt like something that was actually going to happen until it was the only option for me to be happy or successful, or at least it felt like it was the only path I could take to reach those things. You know, at the point that I was really trying to succeed at YouTube and I was really, you know, like just destroying, fireballing things for it, it felt like what I had to do. And I felt like if I didn't do it, then I would look back in my life forever and I would just regret the path that I had taken. You know, I would go to school, you know, have a bunch of student loans, more student loans than I have now, I guess. For context, I was going to school for journalism, so I'd be like a journalist or something, right? For those of you who don't know, journalists don't make money, okay? They just don't fucking make money. So I'd be trying to pay off those debts. And the entire time that I was doing this stuff and going to a stupid journalism job in New York or something, or like Connecticut for something I didn't like, the entire time I was doing that, I'd be thinking like, man, 3 fucking years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, when I was in college, I had this YouTube thing that was making some money and I just, for whatever reason, I didn't make it work. And the idea of that to me was far worse than, let's say, me torpedoing my life temporarily. And let's say YouTube didn't work out in the short term. That felt better to me than not trying at all. And ultimately,
yeah, I mean, especially if you don't know what the fuck you want to do anyway. Like for me, it's always good to have a backup. That's all I say. I feel like, you know, one of the things that could potentially work against some like younger people is like not knowing what they could do as a backup. You know, that is the advantage I have, is like I still have 10 years of like actual solid work experience, 5 of which was in managerial. So if I needed to get a job, like I'd be in a much better place. Whereas like I feel like if you're a young person and you do YouTube and from an early age and like you don't really have anything on paper, you might come out the end a little rough off, you know what I mean? You might be like, what did you used to do? Oh, well, I made videos online. You could show them like your statements and whatnot, but then you have to show them the content that you made. Whereas like for me, I could be like, yeah, you know, I used to work at a bus company for 10 years. I did this, and this. I was a manager for this period of time. And then I was able to like, you know, be like an influencer in some capacity. Or I might even leave that out because, you know, I talk about some more edgy content sometimes. I could literally just say like, oh, I'm married and my wife, we made a lot of money, but like she's since changed out. I feel like I'd have to lie. I feel like I'd have to lie about what I did for a living because holy fuck. You know, what do you do all day? Oh, I talk about trans people and how I'll deep throat a trans cock. It's like, oh, okay, that's interesting. You know what I mean? Because that is something I'll regularly talk about. It's like, yeah, I don't know if that's a good for a job resume. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that might be bad. I'm just thinking that could potentially kind of bad. What do you do online? Oh, I make really edgy jokes about minorities or something. You know what I mean? Holy fuck. So.
Hindsight, you know, hindsight is 20/20, obviously, but I don't regret it. I'm glad I made that decision. But once again, if I hadn't been in that spot where I had to do it, I don't know that I would have. And this sort of applies to my friend. I think he knows that there's something better he could be doing or something he could be striving for, and he chose not to because, well, there's a risk associated with that, right? There's the risk of leaving the comfort of his own home. There's a risk of leaving the nest. You know, it's not necessarily guaranteed when he gets out of there. Easily one of the most harmful things to someone like this is video games. I say this while talking over gameplay footage. I know, very, very ironic, okay, very, very, very hypocritical, but I do want to make a point here because I think video games, like anything in moderation, can be fun and cool and good, but this culture of gamers where people like to spend hours and hours and hours every day playing video games is just so fucking bad for you, man. It's really bad. And I remember a few years ago, Joe Rogan of the Joe Rogan podcast, the Joe Rogan Experience, got a lot of hate from gamers for his take on video games. A lot of people were mad at him, but pretty much everything he said in that clip was right. I mean, I would fully endorse it.
And video games are a real problem. They're a real problem. You know why? Because they're fucking fun.
Addictive.
And you don't, yeah, well, I have a real problem with them. And you do them and they're real exciting, but you don't get anywhere. 3 years later, you could be that same kid just playing video games, waiting for the next whatever the game is, you know, next Xbox game to come out, and you're going to waste your time.
And as I said, a lot of people...
Wait, he's so right, especially with how horrible games are nowadays. Games suck dick. They're so, like, low effort. What does it really get you? I mean, you get a little dexterity or whatever, but at the end of the day, it's a hobby, and people treat it like a fucking job. They play so much of it. I remember I used to play a ton of video games when I was younger, especially when I was, like, 20 years old. And that changed when I had to, like, you know, work. I had to start, like, really working, and like, I cut down on video game time, and like, now I'm to a point, like, I play games... Is this dude really just fucking lust in the middle of a fucking poll? Holy shit. Like, why wouldn't you lust earlier? This kid is worthless. Holy fuck. Anyway, sorry. Now, like, I play, but, like, I don't know, man. Maybe I play on stream. That's pretty much it. I might play a little off stream, but I barely like. I usually don't play games unless I'm streaming. To be honest with you, like I'll do it in between content, like what I'm doing right now. That's pretty much the fucking extent of my gaming. That's pretty much it, you know. So
angry at him for this, but he's totally right. Video games are fun, but they're ultimately a virtual reality, and they're just entertainment. It's a nice way to blow off some steam. Ultimately, it's a waste of time. They are a waste of time that does not build anything for you. They don't make you better at anything. They don't make you money. They're the ultimate just like pleasure. It's basically like life porn. Actually, that's exactly what it is. It's life porn. Like Grand Theft Auto, like running around with like cars and shit and smashing people's new fucking Honda Fit, okay? Smashing the fuck out of their new Kia Telluride, okay? That's really what Grand Theft Auto is. It's like a fantasy life simulator, and it's fun and it's cool and it's a good way to blow off steam, but ultimately it doesn't build you anything in the real world. And when you have limited time, you probably should be spending as much time as you can, you know, reasonably muster on things that are actually going to improve your life rather than things that are a time sink. But the mentality of a lot of gamers, I think, is like, why try anything when you can just barely get by and then waste your time and get the sort of dopamine rush from video games like GTA. And then the argument from the nerds is like, oh, well, but what about Ninja? What about PewDiePie? They became
those are like fucking outliers, dude.
Famous from video games. And like, sure,
you're not going to be that person, okay? You're just not. You might, but you're not. You know what I mean? There are people, and like, even if you were, do I ever pretend to be dumb in real life just to be funny? All the time. That's like literally my content, brother. Is me pretending to be dumb half the time. But like I was saying, most people, like, you're not going to become the next Ninja. Ninja is an outlier within an outlier. You need to understand, as a content creator, they're a content creator content creators who will blow up doing pretty much nothing. Ninja was just fucking around playing Fortnite. Most content creators have to like be on their grind for years before they get potentially recognized with slow growth. You know, it's not usually explosive. You know, so Ninja is an outlier within an outlier, and I think even he plays some like bullshit. Like Fortnite's the only reason he blew up, and he got lucky, and he was good at it. You know what I mean? You're not going to really blow up unless you're really good at something, or you have something to really offer in a profound way. So, you know, you're not going to be the guy. You're probably not going to be the guy. If you want to be the guy, you have to put a lot of work into it. Like, if you want to be a fucking, like, you want to be a successful content creator, like, fundamentally speaking, you have to make your content. You have to spend an equal amount of time making your content as you do advertising your content. Very unlikely that you'll just pop off on YouTube without putting it on TikTok or something like that. Yeah, that's true. 99% of gamblers quit right before the big win. True. That's a good point, bro.
Became famous through video games, but the way they actually became famous was because of their personalities, because they were funny, they were entertaining, and the games they played happened to be in the medium.
And you're not funny, bro.
That they blew up.
Not TomDark. I'm talking about you out there. You're a gamer. You're not funny. The N word isn't funny. That's all your humor is. Guys, N word, F slur, blah 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 blah, R slur, blah 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 blah. No, it's not funny. Like, I don't even remember to tell you.
Up through because video games are like currently the most popular, you know, entertainment franchise in the world, entertainment medium in the world. That's why they got famous. The average person is not using video games as a way to build a brand though or anything. They're not playing them as like a way to be an entertainer. They aren't streaming or making videos. They're sinking hours and hours of precious time into nothing ultimately. And it's just kind of sad. It's like you're just spending.
This is just, what is it, CS Surf? Like, what's else going on?
Your time being distracted from everything. You're spending your time avoiding responsibility. And that kind of shit has got to stop. And I'm not going to name my friend once again, but maybe this video will be the thing that kicks him into gear. But I don't think it will be, because if nothing I've said before hasn't, I don't know that anything will. I think the thing that's
I'm pretty sure it's Augie RFC, bro. I'm pretty sure it's that guy.
Gonna put.
It is sad though, because there are some very talented younger people inside of, like, you know, some of the communities, and I feel like some of the things that they do just kind of hold them back, brother. You know?
Push him to the point where he's actually succeeding in life is himself. I don't think any external force can help right now. I think,
bro, even I got blow up lucky. Like, I'm not even thinking about, like, on TikTok I blew up for like nothing. Like I got 1 million like less than a year. You know, now we're on our slow grind, but even I got lucky. I just fucking exploded. You know?
he needs to push
That's why I deserve the humbling experience of building from the ground up.
himself into a position where he has to make it work, and then he probably will, because he's like smart and talented, and I think he could do it feasibly, but he just won't for now. And unfortunately, this kind of neat culture is something that a lot of people celebrate right now, and it's kind of funny, but it's just not. It's not actually cool. Okay, it's just kind of like a sad like reality that there's a lot of people who have just given up. And I mean,
I want McDonald's now. Fuck.
if you can work from home and still be successful, like, then I guess you kind of get to have your cake and eat it too, right? Like, you get to have some of the benefits of being a NEET, but you know,
Yeah, have your cake, eat it too, die early from diabetes. I mean, really, it's a win-win-win, honestly.
some of the others you don't have to deal with. But I think the majority of NEETs are.
You want me to wear a festive Christmas hat? There you go. Finish the video like this.
Aren't escaping from the average stuff of everyday life, like traffic. Instead, they're escaping from the weight, the pressure, the responsibility of like trying to upkeep anything good. And this really is what the NEET mentality is all about. This is the terminally online mentality, the hikikomori, if you will. It's a position of absolute comfort where all survival and material conditions have been satisfied. And it's like, well, what do I do now? Why even do anything when I could just sit inside forever and do nothing with myself? Sure, I'll never achieve anything, but if I never strive for anything, then that's not an issue anyway. Who cares? But if you are one of these people, if you are a NEET, and if you do want to break out of that cycle and become something more, if you're listening to this and you're like, well, you know, I have aspirations, I think I have talents, I think I have something to offer the world, but I'm just not in that position. I think you have to accept that part of
$5. What's something you as a creator know about the YouTube algorithm you think viewers don't know? I'm asking for research purposes, lol.
All right, here's what I know about the YouTube algorithm that you don't know. Okay? It's that stop worrying about the YouTube algorithm. Everybody likes to obsess about the micro, like the little aspects of it. Like, oh, the YouTube, like, oh man, should I do this in my thumbnail, or should I put this in my description, or should I put this in my this, or what should I put in my tags? I mean, what should I do? Listen, brother, ultimately, that doesn't matter. What you want to do more than anything else is, like, seriously, is you want to take your larger content. You want to make a video that you feel that you're happy with and you feel is entertaining, the best that you feel you can produce, and it'll always get better as time goes on. And then you want to take a clip from that and you want to post it on TikTok, you want to post it on Instagram, you want to post it on YouTube Shorts. That's what you want to do. Hell, fuck it, even Facebook probably. That's what you want to do. Because that's how people are going to see you more than anything else. We are in the culture of fucking shit. We're in shitting culture. We're in literal shitting culture. Okay? You have to understand, you might think I'm kidding. Like, oh, Papa Guy, you're such a suspicious character from Among Us. No, we're in shitting culture. We're in the culture where people are looking at content that they want to be satisfied while taking a dump, which is like 30-second pops. People are, it's shitting culture. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to adhere to that. If you have a half, and people like these longer videos too, but like they have to know who you are to invest the time into it. So if you want to be worth investing time into, people need to see your 30-second shitting culture videos first, and then they'll slowly roll in. That's what you want to do. You want to give people bite-sized like bits of your things, and who cares if they don't do well? In my experience, I think that this is how most content creators will be, but like you're just throwing shit at a wall and seeing what sticks. I mean, you're not going to make banger after banger after banger after banger after banger. And if you're a new content creator and you're just putting out content, you might have a big banger and then your other content may not bang very well because you're still new and you're still learning and exploring how you should operate. You know, put clips on the hub. Absolutely. Have a guy do a cum tribute to your video. Come, or a girl with a nice cute girl cock. They don't come as much though, from what I've seen. I think it's all the estrogen in their body. But hey, yeah, man. This is why I'm gonna hide my job if I'm gonna hide this point of my career. You know,
breaking that sort of neat lifestyle is also breaking your comfort.
Like, bro, I started watching hoofing videos because I saw a short on YouTube Shorts of like a fucking, they're cutting the hoof out to get the mass or the pus or whatever bullshit was in there, and then I watched a full video of it. You know what I mean?
Zone. Maybe you have to take what money you have and move into an apartment, move out of your parents' house, or you have to pay bills, or you're going to get kicked out and live on the street. And maybe that's the push you need to be more successful and try more things and actually motivate.
That might push you to be a crack addict. One of those too.
Yourself to become a really successful person. Maybe that's what's going to get you beyond the neat lifestyle. You know, at the end of the day, I can talk about this all I want, but at the end of the day, I'm still relatively fortunate, right? I grew up in a nice household in a nice area. I'm still a, you know, a somewhat privileged 20-year-old with limited life experience who, you know, was just obsessed with YouTube and really liked it, and that turned into a job. But
a pretty mature young man, I'll say that. Isn't it weird? I'm saying the term young man. Wow, what a boomer. Holy fuck, that's crazy. But he is pretty mature for his age, you know? And I'm not saying that to try to molest him, okay? I know that a lot of rapists will say that about children. Oh, you're really mature, but he's an adult. Noticing he's mature, okay? Relax, guys, okay? Relax.
To me, thinking about it sort of from other people's perspectives that I've heard and my own experiences, I mean, to me, like living out of your car and trying...
Papa Gut, I think changing channels hurts your streaming viewership. Oh my God! He figured it out! Are you telling me that building a new channel with a 15th of the subscribers is going to be difficult to get viewership? Holy shit. Baby! Can you come here? I need to tell you something. I just want to tell my wife what you said. I want to see what she thinks, because we never thought about this. Come here. Somebody said, read this. Look at this guy. This guy just fucking blew my mind. I don't think that I ever would have been. Look at this. You hear what they said? I think changing channels hurt your streaming viewership. That's fucking. Did you ever think about that?
No.
That's fucking incredible. That's fucking crazy. Holy shit. Wow. How are you, baby?
Oh. Stream.
I've been streaming the whole time.
I didn't.
Oh, she didn't even know I streamed. You don't even know I streamed. Yeah, no, we didn't know.
So crazy.
We didn't. She just thought I was in here masturbating 4 hours a day. They're just talking to myself like a fucking psychopath. But she stayed with me because she stayed with me because she's a loyal wife. I'm just fucking with you, brother. I'm sorry. I do know that. I've been okay. Anyway, what do you want? We're having for dinner.
Lobster bisque and grilled cheese.
Is it almost done?
Get a man angry on.
I'm almost done with the segment. Yeah. Do you want? Do you? It's almost done. Like a minute. Do you want to? Here.
Trying to make something work and aspiring to do something greater seems better than like living at home with your parents and not aspiring to be or do anything. That seems like the ultimate hell to me. The ultimate state of just being completely fucking miserable is never striving or trying to be anything. The ultimate misery, the ultimate bottom of the barrel is not like crack den shit. It's like having the potential to get somewhere and not, and just wasting it, squandering it on League of Legends. It's just sad. And,
fucking unless you're Korean or something, you're not even gonna be good at that game anyway. The fucking the North American and the European scene are garbage. Don't even bother, dude. Okay, dude. All right. I don't know what it is, but Asian people are just so much better at League of Legends, though.
people do it. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, leave a comment down below with your thoughts. This is obviously one of those topics that I'd like to get people's opinion on, really, because it seems sort of pervasive in today's culture to see a lot of people who live that hikikomori lifestyle.
What the fuck
and I think
is
it's sad, and I'd like to
hikikomori?
hear other people's perspectives on it. You know, am I wrong? Is being a neat, is being a low life the best thing ever? And also be sure to turn notifications on so you know next time I upload a video or something. I've been uploading on this channel a lot recently, and I've been having a lot of fun with it, just talking to you guys about random shit. It's been a lot of fun, and I appreciate those of you who are sticking around for the videos. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video.
That was pretty abrupt. Yeah, good video. It was cool that he was speaking to his audience of young, you know, I guess incelish people. Not all of them are that way, but some people underachieving young men. So I should speak to some of the more toxic people in my audience. So let's see. Fat porn addicts. Don't do it no more.
I want Papa Gut to pee on my face, but just as a friend. There's nothing weird about that. I want him to pee on my face.